I'm here at the Science Museum in London, and it's my first time, so I'm really excited to see what's in store. This is the inside of the Science Museum. It's really big. History can be interesting as well as very disturbing. This is James Watt. His career included the trafficking of enslaved Africans, and he's also the founder of the Industrial Revolution. So I'm here at the Science Museum in London. I'm excited because this is what I find interesting. I'm about to enter the area which is about exploring space, which I'm sure is going to be really interesting. So let's see what this space is all about. This is the exploring space section in the Science Museum in London. Keeping these worlds sometimes, and some are believed to have the right conditions to support life. However, vast distances separate us from these cycles. One of these is this section looks pretty interesting. It's about making the modern world. This is in the lovely museum, the Science Museum, and you can see a car in the background as well as a plane. I'm not easily impressed by cars, but this car looks quite amazing. It's a Ford Model T car and it looks in pristine condition. It's always interesting to learn about science, and the Science Museum here in London is a definite treat for both young and old. This is my first visit, and there's so much to see. You definitely would spend about 3 to 4 hours here for a first time visit. This looks fascinating. Not sure what it is. So this section in the museum is all about how people received the first dose of a vaccine and the stories behind the global effort to contain one of the worst pandemics in recent history. This this image became such a scary image for all of us. This is an interesting section at the Science Museum. It's about genes. So let's go and have a look. This is quite an interesting shirt. Oh, that's an interesting one. They always say you're only as old or young as you feel. Ooh, skulls. So signage reads around 55,000 to 70,000 years ago, some Homo sapiens, our species of human, migrated out of Africa and eventually inhabited the entire world. Ah, they also have a section on the Windrush. So it reads My grandparents came to the UK from Jamaica during the migration of the Windrush generation. So this image reads The Impact of the Slave Trade. I discovered a record for my fourth great grandmother, Peggy Ann Smith, within the British colonial slave registers held by the National Archives. She was born into slavery on the Burn Plantation in Jamaica. So, can the dead tell us tales? Well, behind me you can see the skeleton. So, it basically tells us that even with these skeletons and bones, we can still learn about the person's DNA. This is a very personal account from Yinka. She says, in 1992, I was admitted to hospital with an illness which left me completely paralyzed from my neck downwards. I have since learned that disability is a social and ethical issue, not simply a medical one. So she has created a project here at the Science Museum in London. Let's have a look. So she says this project is an open question which I hope will create further debate about an important issue. She says, what then do we do if we are told that our unborn baby may be born with a defect? Are we actually worried about the disability itself, or are we more worried about how our unborn child will be treated? These are very complex questions. So this shows us that our genes are incredibly important, but they aren't the only factor. Your environment also shapes the way that you look. Beautiful peacock, peahen rather. Will you be the first person to live for 100 years? Sorry, 1,000 years. The museum is has lovely air conditioner, which is really wonderful, especially in summer in London. It is free to visit the museum, but you do have to pre-book your tickets, and you can do so on the Science Museum's website. But book in advance because tickets do get filled up quite quickly. This is called a brain knife. It was used to slice sections during the brain. It was used in about 1850. With the Allen Human Brain Atlas image, it can navigate our brains and it can help discover how injury and disease affect specific areas. So, are you feeling your age? Just hanging around with these guys. So, this section is about what makes you so smart. This is the pattern pod, and it's so interesting and looks amazing because with the rocks down there, it feels as if they are real rocks, and the water starts spreading through, and you see little fish as well. It's quite a sight. Any form of art is really, really therapeutic. This is quite fun. I love bright colors. This section is about medicine at the Science Museum, and what you see in the back is about building blocks. There's just so much to see and so much to learn. I will definitely be visiting this museum again, and it's just a wonderful way to spend an entire afternoon exploring and understanding all things science, the importance of science, and the exciting new improvements within science. I absolutely adore miniature models and miniature buildings, etc. So, this part of the Science Museum is an absolute treat for me. So, be sure to visit this part of the Science Museum. This model is designed to 1/16th of the size of an actual hospital. So, you can see the hospital beds, the, the nurses in the hospital. It's really so brilliant and absolutely adorable. Look at the little bathtub. These lights are so beautiful. This is a lovely view of the plane and the cars in the background. So I'm now on the first floor at the medicine section. Below you can see some of the aircraft, trains, early cars. Absolutely adore these lights. Interactive elements of the museum, which really work well with both adults and young children. Lights are back on. So magical. But yes, science is involved in that. My impression of the Science Museum in London is that the way that it's laid out is really brilliant, and you really do enjoy every single floor. There are 3 floors, and they the way that they have set up the Science Museum makes it very easy to navigate. This section is about hope, faith, and fear. This is an example of a chemist back in the day, chemist Gibson and Son opticians. So chemists and opticians. Through my research of the Science Museum in London, I think one of the great things about this museum is that they constantly change what's available for the public to see. So even if you visit in 2023, for instance, I'm sure next year this time many items will be very, very different. So it's always good to see new things at a museum, and the Science Museum definitely keeps the exhibitions and the different floors. Uh, they change what's on offer and what's available for people to see, which always makes it interesting. So there are lots of directions and signage for you to see what to explore the various floors. So I've just been on the first floor and heading towards the second floor. There's also a third floor. Be sure to bring water bottles, plenty of water bottles, because it does get rather hot in the Science Museum. And when you do need to have a break, pop outside for a quick breather, and you can easily come back in. As long as you show them your tickets on your phone, it should be fine. So far, it's been wonderful to discover this wonderful science museum. So this is helpful because it shows you the museum and the pictures to illustrate what will be found in the museum. So on the second floor at the moment, having just been to this floor, which was really interesting. In fact, every single floor is spectacular here at the Science Museum. So much to see and do. This is pretty mind blowing, isn't it? I'm still trying to decipher what it actually is, but nonetheless, quite fascinating. I'm here with Robert Boyle. He was a natural philosopher and a founding member of the Royal Society. So that is what people used to wear back in the day in Europe. They probably felt really hot. It's wonderful that museums are free in London. Many of the museums are free, so that everybody has the opportunity to learn. So this section is about the clockmakers of London. I think that these clocks are so beautiful. It's really strange how people wore these wigs back in the day. Look at these fancy watches. So the clockmakers museum, that part was quite interesting. I always admire people who are able to create and design. This cafe is much quieter than the one on the ground floor. So I got to the cafe. So just note, don't make the mistake that I made. So the cafe on the second floor actually closes at 4 o'clock, and today is a Saturday. So I'm going to go to the third floor and try that cafe. So just to remind you. Okay, so I've come to the third floor of the cafe, and it is now closed. It's 1 minute past 5, so they close at 5. So be sure to check out the opening times and closing times for the cafe. So I'm going to go back to the ground floor and see if they are open. This is very beautiful. It's a spiral staircase. Not quite sure where it leads up to, but it's quite beautiful. Very well designed. Wow, so if anybody is interested in aviation, they should definitely view this part of the museum. Personally, personally, I think this is probably one of the best parts of the museum. So I'm quite surprised by this part. I didn't expect to see aircraft above my head. It's all about aircrafts, the first planes, Second World War. Ooh, I can see something up ahead. Amazing. Air traffic control. Let's see what else is on the third floor of the Science Museum. 1903. Wow, that's such a long time ago if you think about it. I love this hot air balloon. Very colorful, very pretty. Dreams of flight. To think how advanced sport has become when you fly now, comparison to how it was back in the day. I think I would have been very afraid to fly in a helicopter like the one that I'm about to pass. Can you spot the man in the sky? I have to say, I have truly enjoyed my first visit to the Science Museum. I think that it is brilliant. The amount of effort that goes into creating such a fantastic museum must be enormous. It's almost 6 o'clock on this Saturday evening, and I've just stepped outside of the Science Museum in London, South Kensington. I've spent about 5.5 hours at the museum. I didn't expect to be here for so long, but it was absolutely amazing. So much to see, so much to explore, and I really, really loved it. So, 6 o'clock, over 6 o'clock on a Saturday in London, my day's not done. I'm off to Hyde Park, which is a 5 minute walk from here. So, when it's summer in London, you need to maximize the time because when winter rolls in, it's a lot harder and colder to be out and about. So, please do watch, share, and like. My channel is Kish in the UK, and I am British and South African, and I share videos of traveling in the UK and living in the UK. Thank you so much, and as always, keep well.